Welcome to the Life by Design with Margaret podcast. Margaret believes that if you want to live a happy, healthy, and meaningful and rewarding life, you must live intentionally. You must live life by design. The Life by Design with Margaret podcast will help you cut the learning curve for you by bringing some of today's most successful and inspiring individuals who are living a life by design. You'll hear firsthand about their journey and their unique insights on success, personal development, health, wealth, and entrepreneurship. And now, here's your host, Margaret.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life by Design podcast with Margaret. Today, my guest is Chris Brogan. Welcome back onto the show, Chris.
Margaret, it feels just like yesterday or something. Only you're so much better at doing this now. You've done all these interviews. You're like famous and grown up.
Thank you. I think that's awesome coming from you. I try. You do get better when you practice and you just go for it and just keep doing it.
Beautiful.
So welcome back, Chris. Today we are going to talk about setting yourself up for success with habits and simple plans. So I am a member of your Ona Media member group, and I love that group, by the way. You over deliver. You give so much value, both you and Rob, and I just want to say thank you. This is like a plug. It's not really a plug. You give so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I never really found a better way to do what I do in business. I always just think that there's just so many times in life where you feel a little bit let down by what you get. I always just figured if I were making fortune cookies, I'd always give you 3.
Aw, well, you give us 5 there. You let us in on, you pretty much, it's almost like a no-brainer what you offer. People just have to do the work. You know, you make things easy, very easy. You offer simple plans. You take a lot of brain work out of doing stuff. And I think if everyone just they just act, they just take the action, there's no way that you cannot improve your business and set yourself up for success. One of the things that you talk about a lot is habits and setting yourself up for success with plans. One of your lines that you use a lot that sinks into my head when I do things and when I find myself procrastinating is your day is your week, is your month, is your year. So, Chris, can you explain for the audience what that means?
Well, sure. There's a lot of times in life where we think, I need to lose 30 pounds, or I need to make an extra $10,000 a year, or whatever it is you think you need to do. And when you go about thinking about this, you keep thinking about it as if it's some far off date that'll magically click one day and you'll have that 30 pounds gone. The magic 30 pounds fairy will come and click on you and you're better. And, somebody will ring your doorbell and hand you the $10,000 check and everything's fine. But in both cases, it's what you do in any given day. Last night, I really wanted to eat something bad for me, and I have been so off the wagon with my fitness lately. I was just like, So I thought, you know what? I would love to eat this thing right now, but I'd also love to fit in my clothes a little bit better tomorrow. And so maybe I'll just skip it for right now. And I don't always win that battle, but it's always in the moment of the day where what you're going to take for an action will impact your bigger goals. So that's why I say that. Your day is your week, is your month, is your year. What you're doing at any given hour is what the results you're going to get.
Okay. So we pretty much need to be intentional with our time and intentional with the things that we do within that time. And
Sure.
Why is it important for us to be intentional about how we spend our time?
Because we tend to treat money as if it's finite and time as if it's infinite, and it's the other way around. We only have 24 hours in a day. Gandhi said, I got everything done in the same amount of time as other people didn't get anything done because I figured I just had these 24 hours. And it's so important that I separate myself out from the crowd that's all about you've got to hustle all the time. You're not supposed to sleep. I love sleep, Margaret. I sleep 10 or more hours a day. I love sleep. And, I'm not one of these crazy running around like a chicken with his head cut off people, but I really like to focus my time into the work that I'm going to deliver. And then I can move on and do the stuff that I want to do. And where we get it wrong is we just figure we've got this vast pocket of time and I know we'll get it done somewhere in there. And I just feel like if we get it done early, we get it done now, we're just going to have much more time to do the stuff we want to do.
Okay. You talk a lot about in your group habit-driven actions, right? What are habit-driven actions?
Well, so a lot of times people have goals, and a lot of times they focus a lot of time on their goals, but not so much on the approach. And I think that when you think about developing better habits, you're going to get better at the goal that you have by extension, meaning take actions that you can repeat and repeat and repeat, and you're going to get closer to that goal effort you have. So something like going to the gym or something like going for a 30-minute walk, once you do it once and then you do it again and then you do it again, and you get to the point that when you get ready for bed, you're setting out your gym clothes the next day and all that sort of thing, that habit, you just lock right into it. We love habits, we human beings. We love creating new ruts, and we can make bad ones or we can make good ones. And so I always look for, is this going to be a habit I want to format for my goals, or is this going to cause me some trouble? And I'm always trying to tinker with those habits, because we always have to separate the goal from the approach. How are we going to go there is a real different question than what happens once we get there. And we can make different approaches to try to hit the same goal. And, you could say, I think I'll try a vegan lifestyle. I think I'll try paleo. You could eat 50 different diets. The best diet for you is the one you're actually going to stick with. Doesn't matter what. And that's the same with business, right? Your goal is always to satisfy the buyer in some way. And that means you forever must be obsessively focused on, how do I help that person do what they're doing better, so that I can extract some value along the way by making their world better in some way. And so I focus on habits that will drive me closer to that much more than I focus on any particular goal that I have laid out. And it usually helps me get closer to the goal.
Okay. So why now, you recently in a blog post, you talked about, or in your email newsletter, sorry, you talked about focusing on habits instead of goals. And can you talk a little bit about that? That was actually a really great post. I read it, but for people listening and who haven't read it, they need to sign up for your email newsletter. Can you talk about why you mentioned that it was important to focus more on the habits? You just touched on it briefly, but if you could go into depth a little bit more about why it's more important to focus on the habit instead of the goal.
Yeah, the real most important part that people could do to take away is that in the process of building up what you want to do in your life, you can either spend a lot of time chewing on the I'm hoping to get there, or you can focus on what it's going to be for any particular day. What particular day it looks like is going to really help you out. So for instance, at Owner Media Group, we have this idea called the one number, and it's not really ever the goal number, it's the number before the number. So, if you were trying to need 10 clients, if that was your big goal, is I need 10 clients, the habit would be, all right, I better do 5 phone calls a day. I better get 20 email outreaches a day, etc. Because the work that it's going to take to earn the 10 is the number we want you to focus on. Lots of time. Like I said, losing 30 pounds, 30 is not the number to focus on. You should focus on 5, and maybe 5 is 5 big plates of vegetables. No matter what else I eat today, I'm going to eat 5 big old plates of vegetables, because I know it'll fill my belly up so that I maybe won't eat 3 Snickers bars today. I'll just eat 2, and so that's kind of the effort there. So if you want to sell 20 tickets to your conference, then work on 200 phone calls. Whatever you're trying to do, try to focus on the number or the habit that's going to get you that goal, not so much the goal, and it's going to aim closer. You want to drink 4 liters of water a day, so work on that 4 instead of the 30 pounds you want to lose, because the one will drive the other. Okay.
So focusing on these habits, and some of us like to call it the journey, right? The process to getting there. We ensure somewhat our success, because it really is all about, as you mentioned before, the process in getting there, the process in getting to the result. So we focus on that process, and it's really habit building and building successful habits, right? Am I correct?
Sure.
If I'm wrong, because I just want to be clear and I want everybody to be clear and follow with us, that's what it's all about and how we can pretty much set ourselves up for success. So, Chris, when it comes to success in our personal life and our business, what do you think are the top 3 important habits, in your opinion, that can help us attain success in business or in our personal life?
It's a really, really good question. I would say first and foremost, for the moment, is telling people to be helpful. I find that most people find when they're worried about how they're trying to build a business for someone else or help someone else in some way, what they tend to focus on is what's wrong with them or how come people don't like them or something inside of their own little belly button. And I think that if you work on being helpful, you're going to do a lot better. Another habit to work on, or rather kind of like a space in your life that you need to pay attention to, is you really want to improve velocity and reduce friction in all areas of your business. You don't ever want to go too fast in your business, but how do I help my buyer get done what they need done faster? How do I remove any bad steps that are in the way of that? Working on improving velocity and reducing friction will keep you in something good to focus on in your business for a very, very long time. And another habit I think that would be really important to develop in this modern time is to do a little bit more communicating and work on the habit of sending out information to people, not just about come buy my thing, but here's the people behind the product. Here's what we do. Here's the stuff we think is important. Here's what we think is good for you. So I think that a daily habit of communicating to people about the business and about the space that your business covers is a really good way to help your buyer in some way understand how you support them and how you fill out their business needs and all that.
Okay. And if we don't have, let's say we have this goal in mind, most of us do, or a vision. And so we're now understanding or learning a little bit about how we can set ourselves up for success by building habits, right? That are successful, that are habit-driven actions, to help us achieve this end result. How do we attain them? Like, if we don't already have them, a lot of us, like you said, we have, we create these habits that will put us in a rut. And I think, in my experience, most of us are kind of better at doing those things than, building successful habits. But how can we get ourselves to do that?
Probably the best way to go after it is to just keep asking yourself, where am I going and what gets me there? It's so, and there's usually one of two things that happen. You either are totally lost in the wild and you don't know where you're going and you just feel depressed about that, or you at least know somebody you want to help and you're trying to think about better ways to do that. So you can work on your capabilities, you can work on your connections. I mean, I think those are the two things to start looking at every time you're not sure where to go next. Capabilities, what do I know how to do? How can I make it any better? A lot of us go through life thinking that we're not all that in a bag of chips. And a lot of us worry that, people aren't going to appreciate us because we're not some kind of wizard. A lot of times it's some weird little skill we know how to do that someone else needs, Margaret. It's never something huge or vital. I've helped people with the strangest of things. I was showing people how I use LinkedIn, and one little change about how I do it different than what most people even think about the system as made a lot of business value for a lot of people really quickly. And they went, whoa. But I've been doing it that way for years and never thought to show it to anybody. Like I thought that's what everybody did. I had no idea. And that's true of everybody. Everyone who's watching us or listening or whatever, everyone who's paying attention has some skill they know how to do that someone else does not know how to do. And it could be anything. I can make amazing biscuits. I could tie shoes in 8 different ways, whatever it is. Someone else doesn't know how to do it. And someone else probably is looking online to figure out how to do it, right? So you can help with that. So that's capabilities. Connections, go connect with the kind of people that you hope to serve. Go find out what's up with them. I've spent more time lately on LinkedIn. I can't believe I mentioned this twice in one thing, where all I'm really doing is I'm trying to figure out what's going on with business owners and what's going on with CEOs of big companies. And so I've got this interview with the guy who's running digital marketing for all of Marriott, like the whole system, just to find out what's on his calendar in any given day, because I don't know. And I figure, why would I write a book about how I think this is what's on the mind of CMOs if I haven't really talked to one and said, what's literally on your outlook right now? And so that's connections, right? If you can nurture connections when you don't need something from them, if you just want to follow around and find out what's going on or see if you can add value to them, so much better experience than when you sit around thinking about yourself and your little belly button. So capabilities and connections, that's how you can start developing your best habits.
Okay. So what would you say to us, people who are just, because you are Chris Brogan, if you send an email, people are going to open it up. So what would you say to somebody who's just starting out and somebody who's listening to this and possibly saying, well, you're Chris Brogan, what would you say?
I always say the same thing, which is it took 8 years to get my first 100 readers. I wasn't Chris Brogan before. I just was Chris Brogan, and no one cared until they did. And one day, somewhere around 2005, like a switch turned on, and everyone was like, "Oh, this guy seems smart." And every overnight success takes 10 years, but I plugged away as if that I had a huge audience. I plugged away. I never talked about I had a huge audience. I just talked to everybody as if they were all with me already. And people found it. But, again, when I said be helpful, that's 100% of why I have anybody paying any attention to me is I have ideas that make their business better. And I give a lot of them away for free. 90+% of what I do, I give away for free. And I have this great plan with that, which is that when you give me the money, you're going to go, whoa, I can't believe you had even more to give me. But it's a beautiful trick. And so all you have to do is put out your best ideas. People hoard their best ideas. People hide them. They're like, oh, I tell them no one's going to give me any money or they're not going to believe in me or whatever. And a lot of people die with their best ideas not even expressed because they were worried that someone was going to take them. First off, I can tell you that I have 100% of the money I've made from really big companies. I have said everything that I already said out loud and in public to lots of people already before, and they'd pay me lots of money to go in a little room and say it to a handful of people for a lot more money. You could buy a $20 book that I sold, or you could give a $22,000 speech or a $50 consultation, and I would say less than what I said in the book because it's a couple hundred pages, right? So I'm not Chris Brogan because I'm Chris Brogan. I'm just helpful. If you interviewed like 100 random people that knew my name when you saw it on Twitter or something, they would say, oh yeah, I picked up this one idea from him that really changed everything. Or he had this one thought that really kept me going when something was going badly. That's all, right? It's not fancy. There's nothing magic in my old silk hat. I am just a pretty good snowman.
Okay, snowman. Which habit do you credit the most for your success?
Starting. I have a little mantra that I use, day one. Every day is day one. If you fall off, get back on. It doesn't matter, right? Because I see one of the things I observed in very successful people, especially athletes and creatives. One of the things I observed in them is that when they have a stumble, they just keep going. Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, complete the motion if you stumble. It's in the song Don't Stop or Can't Stop. Complete the motion if you stumble is the coolest thing I've ever heard. When I watch really successful sports athletes make a mistake, I do not watch them slam the ground, punch things, get grumpy. I watch them win. I happen to be a Boston area gentleman. I watched the New England Patriots win the 2017 Super Bowl. It was 0. They had 0 points going into halftime. They should have lost horribly, but they won because they're crazy. And so that's my habit. My habit is just start. Just keep starting. If you fail, pick it up again. If you eat a big fat cake, then eat salad the next meal, right? Like just keep going and do the thing you said you wanted to do. And I think that that's the one habit that drives every other one, because that's what gets you through those feelings of procrastination. It's the ones that get you past your dumb guilt that isn't serving anybody. Just go.
Okay. So, I mean, I was going to ask you another question, but you kind of answered that. It was 2 for 1 there. And it's, if something happens that maybe you didn't bank on, or you feel, sometimes we get into things and we're like, whoa, this is over our head, or we're afraid, or I didn't know it was going to be this challenging. The point is to just keep going and don't stop. I have a new mantra. that I've added to my other ones, which is do it scared. So even if I'm afraid, feel the fear and just go through it anyway, you know? And I like that. And when I'm afraid actually of doing something, now all of a sudden I'm like even more motivated and challenged to just do it. Like the fear now pushes me, which is awesome. So for everyone listening, that's life. Things are going to happen. But like Chris said, you just keep going through it. Do it, do it, do it. So one of the big things that I love, or the big features of I feel like I'm doing a Ona Media plug here, but I actually really love the group and what you offer. You offer like everything you do, which is amazing, and you can like pick and choose whatever you want. I mean, everything, marketing, writing a book, starting a podcast, jumpstart plans, like everything is in there. It's almost like going through your brain. This is Chris's brain and this is how he does it, So, I mean, you can't lose. That's what I say. But you believe in simple plans and processes. Now, why simple plans? It may sound, self-explanatory, but why?
It's funny because as you say that, I was thinking, I wonder how many people are out there going, man, I wish there was a complex plan I could follow. But I'll tell you the truth about that, Margaret. A lot of times, one of the weird criticisms I get as being Chris Brogan is they'll say, man, what you keep putting out there is so simple. It's all so 101. How come you don't sell any 201 stuff? And I always say the same thing. I say, first off, there's nothing you're doing that needs 201. You don't have the number 101 figured out yet. I hate to bring up the Patriots twice in one show, especially if people hate the Patriots.
We love the Patriots.
Those fellas do 101 all the time. It's all simple all the time. And the way that they win tends to be a lot of obscure silliness, backed with a lot of simplicity. So I build simple plans because I think brains need simplicity. I think we're in this world where brains are forever stuck in this mode of having so much thrown at them at any one time. Open Facebook up and scroll down and you get political rant, weird, cool gadget, strange things your relatives put out. And you're like, why am I even in Facebook? What am I doing? 100 things just went by my eyes, right? And then when you sit back to your business, because you just did the Facebook to take a break because you didn't know where to go next, you just got to do something simple. Right? I mean, what's on my plate? The minute you and I hang up, what's next for me, Margaret, is I'm going to write a sales letter because I need to sell some things. And so I'm going to write a letter that gives people an idea about a problem I think I can help them with. And when they read it, they're going to go, oh, that's my problem. Or they're going to go, I don't know what he's even talking about, and delete it. But the ones who say that's my problem, they're going to click a link. And some of them are going to open up their credit card to me. And I am going to take their money. And I'm going to help them 6 to 10 times more of whatever they paid, if not 100 times more than what they paid. Because that's what I do. And that's simple. And it'll have 5 steps because everything I do is so simple. And some odd number of steps later, you will be smarter, better, richer.
I think as humans, we do like to overcomplicate things, so the simplicity and filtering and cutting through a lot of noise really works for me. So thank you very much for that. You talk a lot about putting success in your way. What does that mean?
So it is definitely one of the most important things. This is a Rob Hatch expression, by the way. Rob is the president over at Owner Media Group. I'm the CEO. There's only 3 of us, so it sounds so big, but it's me, Rob, and Ron. Rob's idea of putting success in your way is so simple. Again, nothing we do, Margaret, is all that tricky. It's just people don't do it, right? So if you're going to go to the gym in the morning, you know what would be a great way to put success in your way? Lay out your clothes the night before. Make it so there's no excuse. Get your headphones ready, get your water bottle, whatever else you're taking to the gym, and have it ready to go. So in the morning, you don't do something dumb like, oh, I can't believe I can't find my headphones, and you stop and you don't go to the gym, right? Putting success in your way. Rob and I do this slightly differently, but we have sort of the Mark Zuckerberg closet. I have a box full of shirts, and I have a box full of pants, and I have an underwear spot and a sock spot, and that's it. And I put one of each of those things on, hopefully in the right order, and I'm covered. Once I'm done showering, I got it on. And, if I'm going out to speak somewhere, then I got to look at the other part of the closet that has the nice clothes in it.
Okay.
But, I'm wearing a dopey Rick and Morty t-shirt today because that was what was on top of the pile of clean t-shirts I folded the day before. So, that's putting success in your way, because if you're worried about what you're going to wear on any given, then you're not working on your business. If you allow all these weird distractions in your life, then you're not working on your business. It's like there's this theory called the 100 penny theory, Margaret, where you get 100 pennies to spend on whatever mental processes you want. And so I want to save my pennies because I only have the 100. I want to use them on big thinking and big ideas that I can turn into little concepts that people can then execute. I don't want to think about what should I get for lunch today. So that's handled. I've got that handled so that I don't have to worry and spend mental pennies on something dumb. So when it comes time to pay the bill on hard work, I'm going, I don't feel that smart. And, I'm stuck in a rut. So many people waste their pennies on dumb things. So putting success in your way is like starting the best savings account ever so you can buy the cool thing when all your friends have the crappy thing.
That's awesome. I like that idea. I actually think I'm going to go literally get 100 pennies and
Go get it. 2 rolls.
Okay, I will do that. So, Chris, tell me, what was your childhood dream?
To write superhero comics for Marvel Comics or DC Comics. I wanted to write Batman.
Okay. Have you done that yet? You have 10 books. You have 9. Are you currently working on your 10th?
I'm working on a 10th, which is not a Batman book, as it happens. I have, it's funny. I've got some friends in the professional comic book world, and I mean, it's not that far-fetched that I could probably get a story in there somehow, but it's very competitive. There's only really a handful of writers. There's like a gazillion artists. So I don't know that I'll ever do it. But I will write some fiction again before I get into a box and then get cremated or something. I will write some fiction again because that's still in my heart. But I can tell you that I still stay current and read a little Batman. I went to the Lego Batman movie and had some fun. So I feel like writing the books I do is me being Batman. I'm like, okay. Except that I didn't have to lose my parents and I don't have to punch out the Joker. I just have to pull open my utility belt and give people ideas that they can use for their own clever capers.
Okay, that's awesome. That's an awesome way of looking at it. I like that.
Thank
What
you.
is your favorite exercise at the gym to do?
So I would say squats. And one of the reasons I like squats, free weight squats, you can do them a couple ways, but just like a bar on my back and going down and going back up again. Because I love the fact that one, it's not going to be all that pleasant. I like the fact that, whatever you could put on your shoulders that day is literally what you could put on your shoulders that day, and you've got to go down. And that there's a way to cheat and there's a way not to cheat, and whether or not you cheated. So that's kind of fun too. And then I guess I like the fact that when I'm down under that bar, it's pretty hard to think about anything else. So it's forced meditation. You have to be like, I'm going down and I hope to God I'm coming back up. So squats or, my second favorite might be deadlifts because it's the same thing in reverse order. You're just picking something up off the ground, which sounds so dumb. But to be able to lift any reasonable amount of heavy weight, you have to align so many things in your body to do it right. And I just love it. To me, it's like religion. It's like that moment in church when you're hearing the word and you go, that's what I needed to hear today. That's what the bar is to me sometimes.
Okay. I think I'll be looking at the bar differently when I see it now. Okay. That was cool. Okay. I have a new visual of the bar.
Go ahead.
So, Chris, 100 years from now, how would you like to be remembered?
No, 100 years from now, it's really funny, Margaret. The thing I'm most quoted for in the whole wide world is something I said kind of randomly one day that has a whole life of its own, and people like Ashton Kutcher have quoted it, and it's been all over the internet and like millions and millions of views. None of them coming back to me or my site or anything. And it's just this: don't settle. Don't finish crappy books. If you don't like the menu, leave the restaurant. If you're not on the right path, get off it. It's not the world-changing kind of a thing, but that's what I'm going to be most known for, whether or not I want it to be. So I don't know. I would say I would love to be most known for, he changed my life in some way, or he showed me I could do it when I felt like I couldn't. I think that's what most humans really want in life, is that you were helping somebody get up and you got them to a new spot that they weren't at before.
Okay. Chris, one last question for you here before I ask you for action steps. Why do you do what you do?
Why? Well, I like making some money because I like to be able to pay for my mortgage and feed my kids and things like that. I think that's good. I do it because I had regular jobs before and those seemed okay, but I'd rather tinker with other people's companies instead of just work at one. And I do what I do because if I don't do it, then maybe some other people won't have as good a time. So if that question of why is sort of like your Simon Sinek why, I'll say what I always say. Someday Simon and I are going to run into a room and he's going to punch me in the mouth. I tell everybody I think it's a horrible question. Start with why. I think it's a privileged question, right? Because my Grammy worked in a paper mill and my grandpa was a candy salesman. And my Grammy never thought about her why. She just made rolls of toilet paper and paper towels and stuff like that, right? Like there was not an interesting day in that woman's life at the mill. She just did her damn job and did it as well as she could. My candy salesman, way more fun job. But if you asked him why he did it, he was like, because I have bills to pay, you know? And I guess I'm just in that vein. That's where I am. My why is because I like to pay bills and eat steak.
Okay. Can you offer the audience 3 action steps that they can take to start building a life that they love, a life by design?
A life that they love and a life by design. Zig Ziglar said something like, help enough people get what they need and you can have what you want. And I think that is still a super vital way to look at it. I think that, again, I've said it so many times it's getting embarrassing in this same video, Margaret, but whenever we're down, we look at our belly button. We're like, oh, what have I done? I'm wrong. I'm a bad person. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm going to go eat worms. And it doesn't help anybody because as it turns out, I have never, ever opened up my laptop. I've never gone and found my debit card out of my pocket and then bought something on the web because someone seemed depressed. I buy from people who help, and I buy things that I think are going to make my life better. And I might go and buy a Skinny & Company shampoo bar because I'm like, oh, I never had a bar of shampoo and it's coconut and it's really, I don't know, fancy. So that, that's why I buy. So I think for myself, first action step is how do I help? How do I help? How do I help? That's all I'm thinking about all day long. I'm thinking about how do I help people make better videos? How do I help people, get past that fear that they can't just do it with their damn handheld phone, right? So I'm walking through the steps of that. So number 1, how do you help? Be helpful. That's always number 1. Number 2 is find some path to take and find a goal that goes to the end of that path, right? So you either can have a goal or you can have an approach. It's better to have the goal first, but if not, then just work on something, right? You can work on anything without a goal, and then you might find a way to apply it. It's probably going to suit you better in life if you have the goal first, but whatever. Do whichever one makes you cheery first. And then third, I guess the most important is just start. Just start. Stop planning. My God, so many people trying to live their life by design are planning. And you've been at your job 6 more years than you planned to be. So your plan didn't work anyway. Dope. Go out and do. Go out and try stuff and start. And start in some small way. Excuse me. One of the biggest things that people get wrong about the legend of Chris Brogan is that like one day the permission fairy tapped me on the shoulder and suddenly I just started making bags of money. I had a job and then I didn't have a job, and with the steps in between where I had a job and then I made enough money at my side thing to cover the whole salary of the other job. And I was like, oh, I don't need this job. And then I got this other cool thing and I made it so that I could cover a couple salaries. So then I hired some humans, right? It's so basic, but you just start by earning enough money to not go to the job that you hate. That's all you got to do. Oh, how do I do that? Help people. It was step 1, right? So that's it. That's all I got for you.
Chris, I have to tell you, one of the things that I love about you is there's like no fluff. It's pretty straightforward and practical. And it reminds me a lot of like the people in my family. It's like, you want this? Well, go get it. Stop talking about it. Stop planning. Just get out there, get your hands dirty, and just do it. It's not magical thinking. It's just go do it. And another one of my mottos, because I currently have a day job also, because, my degree's in accounting, and I don't like accounting because I don't get to speak to a lot of people and do a lot of creative things, but I'm passionate about when my daughter has to take gymnastics and I need to pay for her classes. And, I want my kids to travel and I want them to live a certain way. So that's the shining light for me, is that I'm passionate about taking care of my family, and I am the sole provider for my children. So I do what I have to until I do I'm doing what I have to until I can do what I want to, and, that it shines a light on the same situation just a little bit differently. And that's one of the things I love about you. The other thing is that you're a very independent thinker. It's like everybody's doing that and I have that side. Like, why should I think like that? That doesn't work. You definitely show that, hey, you don't have to do that. You don't have to follow what everybody else is following. Find the shit that works for you. It works for you. Do it. And I actually think that's why I gravitate a lot towards you. So thank you for being, the sparkler at the 4th of July. But like you said, you got to go out there and make your own fireworks, So thank you. Thank you so much. I thank you for your time. I know we went a little bit over, but, thank you.
My pleasure, Margaret. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me talk to the people that you serve.
Thank you. And as always, a pleasure. I will be listening to you soon on your next webinar and following you because I just love what you do. I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And everyone should definitely, if you have a business online or you just need to get started with some stuff, check out Chris at Ona. Is it Owner.media? You're saved in my,
yep.
Yeah, there you are, Owner.media. You're like bookmarked, so I just type in OW and you pop up. So again, thank you. I'm interviewing Rob tomorrow.
Oh, super. Have a blast.
Thank you. And again, thank you. Have a great day. And thanks everyone for stopping by. I believe here at the Life by Design podcast that if you want to live a happy, healthy, meaningful, and rewarding life, you must live intentionally. You must live a life by design. So talk to you soon, everyone. Take care.
Thank you for checking out this episode of Life by Design with Margaret Podcast. We appreciate you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. As a subscriber, we encourage you to become an active member of the community. We want to hear your feedback and comments. Visit us on the web at thelifebydesignpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook and leave a review on iTunes.